I've got a bit of a Nintendo themed double whammy for you today, as first off we have some comments from the Ubisoft Managing Director Xavier Poi, whose name I probably just butchered, so do forgive me for that, about the Nintendo Switch. And also we got some stuff about Pokemon Sun and Moon to round things off. Now, the full interview is rather lengthy, and I will include the link to the full thing in the description below this video, but there is a couple of key points that I want to discuss. And Xavier said, quote, "The Switch is very clear as a premise. The way it changes the way you play doesn't come necessarily with the controllers because they were there with the Wii as well, but in the way it's mobile. The way you can play it on the bus and go home and put it in your TV immediately and come back to your room because somebody else wants to watch TV, this is very interesting. Not necessarily revolutionising the way you play, but since we are world creators, it tries to put the players in our universe and find ways to keep them there. It's very exciting to find ways of staying in this world. I think it's a good match for our style, and I think yes, it's a good evolution because for the first time you have a console that is bringing two worlds together, which is the mobile handheld and the usual console experience. We are thinking that if Nintendo's philosophy is really to gather these two worlds, if adult players and console players could be in the same community, then what's the best user journey of one player that would own the Switch? Not necessarily only with the Switch, mind you, but we tried to consider this in the way our upcoming games are being designed. We thought about the time needed for a play session in this game to fit the experience of a handheld. When you're playing a game, an adult console game or mobile game for instance, you're spending less time than you are at home in front of the TV for hours, so that's something we have in mind for games that we are producing right now. He does have an interesting point though, as we do have two distinct groups of people. Now I wouldn't use the word adult myself, but we still do have two groups. We've got the console, maybe PC gamer who, plays on their machine at home, and then when they're travelling will maybe play games on their phone, or probably not be gaming at all, be listening to music or other such things on their phone. And then you'll have the handheld gamer who, might just be sitting around the house playing their game that they just bought, and then they can, still take that game on the go when they're travelling on the bus or what have you, and you are kind of uniting these two types of people, bringing them into the same group. So perhaps, you introduce console gamers to handhelds, and, I'm sure handheld gamers do have a console as well, but, you may have younger gamers who might not be able to actually afford, both a console and a handheld, but now they've kind of got two in one. So it is an interesting point that you will have two groups who sometimes mix, but will be very much mixed with the Switch. Now, the Pokemon Sun and Moon goodness that I have for you today is some little peek into the sales, as we have some insight into how they're doing in North America, as both Sun and Moon combined together sold 3.7 million units in North America after less than 2 weeks on the market. And Nintendo said that Sun and Moon are also, quote, fastest selling games that Nintendo has ever launched in the Americas. Now what's really interesting is that this particular figure is an 85% increase over X and Y, which released during the same period in 2013. Now of course X and Y did go on to sell 15.64 million globally, life to date of course, so it seems that if Sun and Moon keeps this up, it's going to break all sorts of record. Now Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire has sold 13.18 million units globally, life to date, so it does seem Sun and Moon is on track to beat both of these games. Now they also gave some insight into Europe as well, as they have said that Sun and Moon has shifted 1.5 million units in Europe during release week. And for the UK specifically, their total is 368,000 copies sold in release week. So, unsurprisingly, Sun and Moon is doing really, really well. And to be honest, it deserves it. It is actually one of the best Pokemon games I have played in years. The last few games, to be honest, I've kind of been playing out of nostalgia, and while they're, not bad games by any stretch of the imagination, they won't do anything new, and it was just kind of very through the motions, yeah, this is Pokemon, another one, whereas Sun and Moon very much has its own identity, so yeah, I'm glad to see it's doing so well for itself. So, there you go, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.